All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Can you believe that it's been a year since we started? We started 1 year ago this month, and so it's great to see some of our group here. Of course, we had summer's starting to wrap up, so we should see more of our people, even probably coming soon through this hour. So I want to welcome Brandon here. Thank you for joining us today, Brandon. Uh, Brandon, you're in the Washington area, correct?
That's correct.
All right, very good. And then we have Reggie here from Texas and Giselle from Florida. So we're literally coast to coast today. So that's awesome. So uh, just wanted to start off also with I shared that power positioning worksheet earlier this year, and that is a work in progress with all of us. Just wanted to see what you have benefited from that power positioning worksheet, and how what questions you have from that, and then move forward. I'll also share that on the screen as well. And then we'll get into some of the content that I'm planning to share today as well. Um, Reggie or Giselle Giselle,
Yeah.
what insights do you have from what we worked on, and what questions do you have from it as far as that goes?
Yeah, no, thank you, Matthew. Mine has been an entire work in progress, and as a matter of fact, we're doing kind of an overhaul with all the material.
Yeah.
I'm literally having to go back to the beginning because during the course of this last year, we pivoted from full-time real estate and now looking into coaching.
Uh-huh.
And so because of that, all the things that were kind of more relevant and honed in for real estate, we are now transitioning to coaching financial life and marriage coaching. And so anyway, I just from a practical standpoint, it's going to be interesting to see me going through this document back again and navigating through it to see what it looks like now as we kind of make that shift, right? So
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I have the resources and will continue to talk to you guys along the way. So
Okay, very good. Did you have any questions on any particular aspect of this worksheet as you're working along in your new field?
you know what, I did not get a chance to go back and start it with the new field. And
Okay.
so I'm looking to do that over this next stretch to get clarity on we kind of got the how, trying to figure out how to go about doing that properly.
Okay.
And again, we have some pretty good material to go through. So kind
Okay.
of getting back to the basics and doing my homework all over again. So
Okay. Excellent.
yeah,
Well,
but thank you.
that
The resource is phenomenal, and as I go through it, and I have questions along the way. Definitely, that's what you guys are here for, to kind of help me craft that once I have something a little more tighter that we can share on the screen.
yeah, very good, very good. And for those of us that are newer here, we are here as business leaders, not just to increase in business so that we can make a bunch of money, or but it's at the end of the day is to make sure that we're the only hope that our world has, right? And of course there's Christ, but through us, people can hear about Christ and move forward. So we are here to make sure that as we increase in business, that we're doing our part to change the world for the ills of our society. And we want to make sure that as we do that, we're spreading God's word and God's kingdom throughout. But that's not going to happen if we're not uh, actually being leaders in business, right? That's not going to happen if we're not successful. And so you know, we have been talking about you know, certain types of exercises and so on and so forth to be able to get there. We talked about you know, goals, and now power positioning. I really believe is one of the most important aspects as an entrepreneur, or you know, having a business, is to make sure that, you know, before getting into sales, we need to make sure that we know how to position ourselves towards the market that you are supposed to be in front of, right? I mean, what's the point of marketing and getting into sales if you're not you know, faced in the right direction, right? And so we need to make sure that we're positioning ourselves correctly in the market. Giselle, you moved to a new city recently.
Yeah, Naples. Yeah,
Yeah,
Naples.
yeah. So so what part of this worksheet that you worked on has helped you, and what do you have questions on?
Well, it helped me a lot in clarity and also to dive deep into my business. And I went to like deep research, which was great. I love when I go into like these deep research parts. And I researched my business within like it just gave me so much of a how do I say, like it gave me so much confidence going into the business, continuing the business that I'm doing because
Yeah.
of all the research that I went into. And it was like, okay, it was just kind of how do you say, like check marks, like, yeah, this is the correct path for me because this is, you know, the outcome and everything. And then the research that I went through, it just made me more confident what we were doing. And then it gave us clarity and then also a new market. So it was just a lot of organization, a lot of like getting in front of the right client, just be very, very clear on who we need to market to. So this helped me a ton.
Yeah.
On questions, I think you covered it all. So I don't have any questions, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So, you know, a lot of times, you know, we have, you know, we want to solve everything, right? We have, you know, 10, 20 different solutions that are out there. And when we are introducing ourselves to people, you know, people tend to just spit out all the solutions that are offering, and they don't know you for one, what you're known for, that one thing, right? And so what you want to make sure is that you're championing on one big problem that you solve, right? And you want to be able to make sure that you're honing in on that and understanding what the problem is and knowing what solutions can be available for your client, right? And so, you know, knowing and championing on that one big problem, even if you solve other issues, is going to be key because you want to be known for that. You want to be branded for that, right? And so champion on that one big problem, and then when you actually solve the other problems also as they become your client, you are actually exceeding their expectation. That's what you want, right? You don't want to meet their expectation. You want to exceed it, right? So that's what that does for you on this worksheet. So I do have you know, our previous one of our previous meetings had to do with going over the power positioning you know, worksheet. And once you become an ambassador, those are the videos that I share with you so that we're all on the same page. Power positioning, on knowing what your goals are, etc. So that way, you know, we can move forward in becoming the leader that we are meant to be. All right. All right. Very good. So today, what I really want to cover on is some of the psychology that goes behind sales. Okay. And so when it comes to sales, you want to see you know, your relationship with your client as a doctor-patient relationship, right? So when you're in the you know, in the clinic, the doctor wants to find out what type of issues you've been facing, right? And the doctor actually provides certain types of solutions, right? And there's that trust factor that's there also because, you know, you're a little bit vulnerable in front of that doctor, right? Now, that doctor should not be, taking advantage of it, and you should not be either with your client. But think of your relationship with your prospect as a doctor-patient relationship, right? So number one, be the doctor to your prospect, right? So the ultimate concept in psychology of selling is that you are a doctor, and your goal is to get as much information of what's going on in your prospect's world, and and that pertains to whatever you offer, and see how it really fits for your clients, right? So, because you might have a solution, but at the same time, it needs to be the right fit for the client. Now, sometimes we find out what the challenges that they face and other information from them where you can customize that solution, and that's great. But, if you were to walk into a doctor's office and say, hey, doc, my elbow hurts, the doctor is not going to, launch into an information session for them, right? They're not going to dump all the solutions that are available. They're going to ask you questions in order to find out what the real deal is, right? And that's the same thing that you need to do in sales, right? So, you want to make sure that you're mastering the psychology of selling in today's market, and what concepts to use to be part of to understand the psychology of sales. And we talked about the psychology of sales several months ago. I believe in January, it was a 3-part session, and which I have the recordings of on our Ambassadors Table YouTube page. So you want to make sure that you are having that doctor-patient type of relationship. That's the framework you want to have in mind as you are dealing with them, okay? Then, a lot of people say in sales, you are to have high enthusiasm, right? And be excited in front of them, right? I think that part is important if you are genuine about it, right? Because people can tell if you are not genuine about it. They can tell that it's fake, right? So, personally, I'm good with motivation and all that. I hear all, the hoorah and so on and so forth, but a lot of it is external motivation, or they're known as it's extrinsic motivation, okay? What really needs to happen is that you're internally motivated when you're dealing with people, right? How can you be internally motivated? Well, you need to do what God told you to do, right? You need to do what God gifted you with. Okay? We all have a gifting. Okay? A gifting is different than passion. Okay? A lot of people talk about, hey, you need to go with passion. Well, the fuel when it comes to passion, that's going to run out, right? For example, you might like playing basketball, right? But maybe a couple of years from now, you'd rather do something else. So don't build your business on passion, okay? Build your business on your gifting, what God has wired you to do, right? That gifting is a business. Deuteronomy 8:18. For God has given you the power to create wealth. That's what it says. Deuteronomy 8:18. What is that power? In another translation, the Bible says, for God has given you the ability to create wealth. He doesn't give you wealth. He gives you the ability, right? He gives you the gifting. And with that gifting is how you produce wealth, right? A lot of people pray to God saying, oh, hey, Lord, please give me money or help me to pay my bills. Well, you need to make sure that you are investing in the skill that God has given you. When you are rooted in the gifting that God has given you, then you'll be extrinsically motivated. Okay? Then your motivation to your prospects and clients seem natural. Okay, it's not made up. All right, so drop the external motivation and just be motivated by what God has given you already, which is the ability, right? All of us have certain abilities, right? God is a creator. He is the creator, right? He has not given all of us his creative, no, sorry. He hasn't given all of his creative abilities in all of us. He has given all of us some of his creative abilities, right? And so that creative ability is a gift that he has given us. That in itself is a business. That's what's going to give you the power to create wealth. Is this making sense? Okay. So just so drop the enthusiasm. When I say drop the enthusiasm, I'm not saying don't be enthusiastic. I'm saying be enthusiastic from being internally motivated by by the skill that God has given you. Okay. That way it seems natural to your prospect. Okay. Third thing I want to talk about is, stop pitching. All right. Now, when I say, I'm not saying, I'm talking about stop pitching in the general sense where we think that, the pitching is okay. A lot of times we need to question what the gurus are teaching us, right? Because when you hear the same thing from every person, we have a right to question that, right? And so we need to see, is there another frame of mind that we can think about so we don't sound the same as everyone else, right? And really, recent sales data shows that one of the biggest reasons that prospects and buyers don't ultimately choose to do business with you is that they feel that you as a salesperson didn't understand their needs. And when I say you, I'm just meaning general, right? And this is purely the psychology of selling. Prospects are feeling like you don't understand them due to the way you're speaking and behaving around them. And you don't even realize that sometimes, right? Sometimes I don't even realize that. And so a lot of times what's people in sales do is that they pitch when they first meet the prospect. Okay? That's not natural. When you first meet people, you want to get to know them, right? You want to get to know them, what they are all about, right? We're talking about, and I'm not talking about selling widgets or $20 things, right? We're all in sales in which we're selling high value, right? So we need to make sure that we're doing the proper discovery to understand what's really going on in the prospects world, right? So what our prospects really want is to be engaged in a conversation of what's important to them, right? You've heard me say, people could care less about what we have to sell. Okay, it is not about the product that we sell. It is not about the solution that we sell. Okay, they just want their problem to be solved. They want to get from this emotional level or where they're feeling like a lower perceived a status to a higher status, right? And so you're coming there and saying, yes, I have the solution to get you here, right? That's all they care about at the end of the day, right? So find out what they're currently facing. And once you see that they're fit for what you have to offer, it's presentation time. It's not something that you pitch. I think all of you are on LinkedIn, right? Anybody receive pitches in their email, right? They don't even try to develop any type of relationship with you. They're not trying to see what you're all about, right? They're just coming there with their product, okay, in the middle of your busy day, okay? And so that is not the approach in today's 21st century, prospecting clients, right? So again, remember, think of this as a doctor-patient relationship, okay? Right when you walk into the room, they're not saying that you need an MRI before you even say one word, right? The doctor is discovering what your issues are and giving you a tailored solution for it, right? Or tailored treatment for it. So dig into the psychology of every situation, diagnose what's wrong with the prospect, and then once you have a full understanding of their challenges and needs, present only that solution that will solve their problems. Don't get into the other 10 solutions that you have, okay? Okay, this is making sense? All right, next. Anybody ever faced a high pressure sales situation? Right? You know that you're being pitched to the point where the salesperson is only interested in you saying yes and getting the check, right? That seems disingenuous to the prospect because you want to make sure that you're showing them, first of all, you're discovering their needs and making sure that you are a good fit for them, or your solutions are a good fit for them. All right, grown-ups are always telling their kids that their bad behavior is a no-no, right? And this is exactly how people feel in high-pressure sales. Never apply pressure to your prospects in a selling situation, because if you're applying pressure, that means you're lacking in certain skills, right? That means you're lacking in the solution that you have to offer them, right? There's a fear aspect to it, right? When you are selling in faith, you don't have to do high pressure sales, right? You know that you have the solution for the prospect and and you see yourself in a yes situation, shaking their hand and making the deal, right? All right, so a lot of times the high pressure sales aspect of it is because you fear rejection. They'll sense that, okay? And you don't want to sell in that way. So you want to make sure that you're gaining the prospect's trust, okay? And otherwise, if you don't gain their trust, you're going to kill the sale, right? You're wasting your time, right? And so remove all pressure from the selling situation. And instead of trying to persuade the prospect to tell you a yes, take a step back, right? And then pull back when you feel like they might feel pressured, right? So sometimes, for different prospects, it's different, right? Some people may feel pressured even when you are just sharing information, right? And so when you sense that, you want to pull back. So just don't push. All right. So think about, put yourself in their shoes and see, would you say yes to someone that is intentionally pressuring you, right? And so you want to make sure that you are providing the solution and let them make the decision on it, right? Now, and I'm going to talk about options later of, you want to make sure that you're giving them options also. That's also less pressure with them also, okay? Always know, and the next point I want to make is always know that it's about the prospect, not you, right? You are not the solution, right? You are sharing a solution that's going to be beneficial to them more than you. That's why when you sell something and you are pricing something, you don't want to get into a situation where you're discounting it, right? Because you have a solution that you're offering that no one else offers that is fit for them. Why discount it, right? And so you want to make sure that you're offering a solution that is fit for them at the end of the day. So this is about the client at the end of the day, right? So all prospects care about is who? Themselves, right? Right? And so they, a lot of times they don't care about you, right? They don't care about your offering, and they certainly don't care about how great you think your service is, right? They only care about themselves, and the idea is central to the psychology of selling in any industry. So prospects actually ask themselves a couple of questions in every situation with a salesperson. Number one, is the conversation going to be worth my time? Okay. And number two, is this salesperson solution going to actually help me solve a problem that I care about? Okay. Number one, is this conversation going to be worth my time? And number two, is the salesperson solution going to actually help me solve the problem? If they can't answer affirmatively to either or both of those questions, then you, being in sales, is going to be you're going to be in trouble, right? So the conversation needs to be about them. Anybody ever read this book right here? How to Win Friends and Influence People? Okay. This is, how old is this book? This has to be one of the top 3 business books in the business world. Copyright 1936 by Dale Carnegie, right here. This is a must read right here. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I'm telling you, once you read this book, you're going to have a whole different paradigm shift, right? Read by millions of people. It's been in print over 75 years. If you don't read any other business book, this itself would suffice, not just for business, but for life in general as well, right? How to Win Friends and Influence People. And so this is about them. And this is what this book actually talks about. And so I've learned so much from there. So usually when I'm in a conversation, sometimes it can be, long and drawn out. But guess what? I'm sitting there, I'm listening to them until they ask about me, what I'm all about, right? And that takes a lot of patience to do that. Because when they see that you are in this conversation and it's about them, right? A lot of people like to talk about themselves. All right, let them. Okay, you just listen to them, and they'll see for the first time someone listen to them without interrupting them, right? And then once they ask you the question, now they're giving you the floor, and then you can move on from there. And now whoever asks the questions in a conversation is the one that controls that conversation. Okay, very important rule. Whoever is the one that's asking the question is the one that's controlling the conversation. So let them talk about themselves and everything, that's fine. But then when they give you the floor, then you can start asking questions and discovering and lead the conversation to an agreement. All right. So you want to make sure that you're stepping into their shoes. And, I'm not talking about your value proposition or even your product experience. I'm talking about the psychology of selling, right? The buyer's experience. What's the buyer's actual experience in buying from you, right? What is the, what type of brand are you portraying to your, to the world, right? And when I say brand, it's not just a logo, right? A brand is everything that they experience with every part of your business, meaning what they experience with their 5 senses, right? What are the five senses? Hearing, touching, smelling, seeing. What am I missing? Something else. Feeling, right? Oh, no, I already said touching, so it's something else. I can't remember. But it's the five senses, right? So,
Taste.
yes, tasting, right? Sometimes they can sometimes they can taste it, right? So, what are you experiencing, with all five senses with someone's business? Okay, well, that in essence is your brand, right? And so put yourself in your customer's shoes and ask yourself, would I buy from myself, right? With what I'm offering, right? In any part of the process, whether it's the marketing or the sales, the product, whatever, would I buy for myself? Okay. And if you're doubtful, if you're even doubtful of any aspect of your process, that's what you need to be working on. Okay. Because as Kingdom business leaders, we need to make sure that we're creating a culture of excellence. I'm not saying perfection, right? If you're waiting for perfection to happen before you sell something, you're digging yourself a hole, right? Pursuing perfection, that's excellence. That is a culture of excellence, right? And Lexus said it best before. I don't know if you remember Lexus ads from way back in the day. They said it's the pursuit of excellence, right? Sorry, pursuit to perfection. Well, they created a culture of excellence because of that. Okay, I rarely hear a customer of Lexus that complains about their brand, about their experience at their dealerships and service. Very rarely, right? Now, that's not the case with most of the other brands. All right, so creating a culture of excellence. And so that way, when you step into your prospect's shoes, you want to see, okay, self-reflect on your own business and see what aspects of the business do I need to improve, so that way, the customer feels that they're having an experience of excellence, right? Next point I want to make is you want to make sure that you're creating value through questions. Remember what I said before? Who controls the conversation? The one that answers questions or the one that answers them? Asks them. The one that asks questions, right? So, you ever watch these shows where the main character is in a room with a psychologist, right? So the psychologist never proposes a solution to the problem. Okay, in these shows, what they usually do is ask questions so they can control the conversation, right? Towards a solution, right? They ask questions such as, can you help me understand why you say that? They ask questions such as, how does that, how does this issue make you feel? Right? When you are selling to a client, you want to know their pain point. Not only, if you don't know their pain point, you're not going to sell them, right? You want to know their pain point, and not only that, get deep on it, on how they actually feel, right? How painful that situation is, how painful that where, for example, you're in real estate, right? All three of you are in real estate, okay? So let's just say, and in different areas, of course, but I think we can all relate here. If someone's living in a 2-bedroom home, okay, and they have 4 children, okay, you want to hear, they're having, there is, going through some pain, right? Like, we barely have room to move around in the living room. We barely have room to sit down and eat, right? And so you want to get to the point of not only knowing their pain, but empathizing with them and understanding their pain from them. Yeah, you're putting yourself in their shoes, right? Understand how painful it is. Extract the level of pain out of them. Okay. And so when you extract that level of pain, let's just say it's 1 to 10, 10 being the most, right? What if they tell you, oh, that it's an 8 out of a 10? That's a pretty high level of pain. Okay. Now what has happened? You've actually collected data in which you can position yourself to sell effectively now, right? And you can give them a solution to be able to resolve that issue, right? Now you're going to show them, if they have four kids, are you going to show them a 3-bedroom house? Probably 4 or 5-bedroom house now, right? Okay. They complained about the kitchen. All right. So you probably need to show them a house with 4 or 5 bedrooms with a sizable kitchen, right? And since they didn't talk about anything else, you would focus on those 2 aspects the most. Okay. And so what you want to do is really understand what their pain is and what level of pain that they're experiencing. That gives you the foundation to be able to move forward in getting an agreement. One of the main reasons people don't sell much is because they're pitching too early, right? They don't understand. They're not going into a conversation with them, asking questions, taking control of the conversation. They're allowing the client or the prospect to lead the conversation, and they will lead them to a point of not making the sale because the client is not looking to buy right away, right? Or they're apprehensive to spend money right away. You need to give them the reason, hey, you know, to make the deal happen sooner, right? Without pressuring them, but helping them to realize even more of due to their pain that they, to the point of, hey, you don't want to be in this situation another second, right? And then move on to the sale, right? And so, you want to make sure that you are understanding their pain and their level. And the next point is to tie their challenges to value. Okay, tying their challenges to their value. So by tying their challenges to, you want to make sure that you're tying their challenges to a specific value. If your prospects could solve their challenges, well, then why do they need you? Right? And so they're coming to you for a reason. So, for example, if your prospect is talking about, that they have certain types of challenges that they're facing, right? You want to dig deeper into what those challenges are. And you want to say something along the lines of, if you were able to solve these challenges that you're facing, what would it mean in additional benefit to you, right? What additional benefit would you experience if you were to solve that challenge, right? And when they tell you what that benefit is, then you find them the solution that has that same benefit, right? For example, we barely have any room that we can move around in the laundry room, right? Okay, or I have 3 cars and I only have a 2-car garage. Okay, well, what is so that's a challenge that they have, and you ask them, okay, so what would you like to see in the next house? Would you want what type of benefit? Well, I need a 3-car garage with space to be able to have my tools and to make sure that we're able to do some recreational aspects. Okay, well, that might mean an oversized 3-car garage or even a 4-car garage, right? And so with that in mind, what you want to do is tie the challenges that they have to the value you're bringing to the table, right? And that comes with your expertise, your knowledge in the industry, your knowledge of the area, and finding them that type of solution for them. Okay. When you're talking with your client or your prospect, the next point is that you want to make it a two-way dialogue. It is not a one-way presentation. Okay. Make this to where, yeah, you are controlling the conversation, but you need dialogue from them, right? That they're part of the solution as well, right? And so that way, that's when they're most engaging with you. So there should never be a period where you're going on about your service or product. Okay, you only ever want to talk about your product for a little bit and then re-engage the prospect back into the conversation. Okay, don't go on. For example, you find out what their intrinsic and extrinsic needs are. Okay. Okay. So do you want me to explain what intrinsic and extrinsic needs? All right. So extrinsic needs are them telling you, I need a 5-bedroom home with a 3-car garage, right? And a living room and an office. Okay, I need that. That's them telling you their extrinsic needs, right? That's external. Intrinsic needs is for them to tell you why they need that. Why they need that. That's where you're going to find out the pain, right? So don't just go on the features that they're looking for. Go on the reason that they're looking for those features, right? And so that gives you a lot more flexibility too, right? When you're selling homes or other real estate, okay? And so you want to make sure that way that helps you to create a two-way dialogue. A true two-way conversation is going to close a lot more of your sales because it means that your prospects are more engaged. Okay, it keeps you going back and forth. A couple more points I want to make is notice that in this process I never talked about pricing or budget. Okay, they might bring that up in the beginning, but remember, who's controlling the conversation? You are, right? You are to build value. Out of 10 people that come to you, right? How many of them have you sold where you sold them at the exact price that they asked for? Out of 10. Almost never, right? 9 out of 10 times. I would say even 9.9 times out of 10, you've sold them something higher than what they asked for from the beginning. Right? Because why? Because they start to see, it happened to me when I bought the house or the car or whatever, right? Because they started to see, that they need to spend more at the end because of the value that you build throughout the process, right? Sometimes they're not just being realistic. Okay, we need to bring them to reality. Then when we bring them to reality, then we need to make sure that we're customizing a solution that's going to help them to realize that they need to most likely spend more. Okay, very rarely are they realistic about the price point that they want to be at with all the features that they want, right? So you never want to begin your sales conversations talking about price or money. Okay, the budget discussion should come at the end of the discovery process. Okay, and once you've gone through the prospect's, challenges and you determine the upside value, then it's time to talk about budget. Right? Because if you're talking about pricing up front, there's almost nothing that you can show them. Right? And if you're going about, for example, they want a 5-bedroom house with a 3-car garage, right? 3,500 square feet. And they want to spend $300,000 on it. Okay. If you're focused on that $300,000 and you're showing them homes, right? It's going to be very old homes or something with 2-car garage and 3 bedrooms these days, right? Okay. And so you cannot be focused on price from the beginning. Okay. Show them what they need along with what they want, and then talk about price later. Because then by that time they have internalized what they really want and need, and then they will work up to the pricing. Okay. And so use the psychology of selling to establish a broad range of potential budgets on purpose. So it allows the prospect to come back and say, what type of price that they're looking for. Okay. So, you can ask the question such as, based on the challenges that you're facing, a typical solution or the price range for the house that you're looking for is going to be anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000, right? Where do you see yourselves fitting in that spectrum? Now, they might have a sticker shock at first, but they're going to realize sooner or later that that's the range that they need to be in, right? And you're putting the ball in their court, okay, by giving them that range. You want to give them a range, and then they start to come into reality, and that's how you're going to be able to close the deal sooner than later without talking about price up front. Okay. You also want to make sure that you're talking to them like a peer. Okay. So understand their, where they're coming from, their age range, their demographics, and so on. When you're dealing with a prospect, we have social media to really understand what they're all about, right? Before you meet them. Facebook actually gives you a real good sense of who they really are. Because, if you're, especially in the real estate space, if you're dealing with residential, okay, yeah, you can refer to LinkedIn, but look at Facebook and see what they're all about. Are they family oriented, right? Are they more business oriented? If you see a bunch of pictures of their family, then they're all about family, right? So you want to make sure that you're finding them real estate space that's going to be suitable for that, right? Or if they're all about themselves, right? Cars, right? Maybe they're showing off their guns or whatever that may be, right? Well, then you want to make sure that you're finding a suitable place that's for something like that, right? So you can learn a lot from social media before you meet them. Leverage social media to understand who they are. I guarantee you're going to relate with them much more than the rest that didn't take 10 minutes to understand who they are. Okay. Leverage social media and talk to them like a peer when you're there. And when they start to see that you're using language that they resonate with, they're all yours. Okay. One of the lessons that I talked about several months ago that's recorded was on DISC personality profiling. Okay. Giselle, you remember that? Brandon, are you familiar with DISC personality profiling? Okay. So I'm going to talk about this very quickly. So everyone has 4 predominant personalities that are in them. There are 4 personalities that everyone has, right? DISC. D for dominant, I for influencer, S for steady, C for compliant, right? The dominant personality, that's the my way or the highway type of personality, right? They're very direct. They're very forceful. They don't have time for anything, right? They're all about quick, quick, quick. Gotta go, right? And we know some people like that, right? Just look at some of the celebrities that are out there, right? I was watching a video with Robert Kiyosaki and this other interviewer. Man, Robert Kiyosaki was a very dominant personality, right, in there. So you can tell some of the actors like Robert De Niro and all, you can tell. And I have a presentation on all of this that's recorded, which I can send you. I is for influencer, right? That's the life of the party, the center of attention, right? You have the S personality that's very family oriented, very proper, very cordial. And then you have the C personality, compliant, which is very methodical in everything, right? They're very step-by-step oriented. And, when they're doing research, they have a spreadsheet in front of you, okay? So these are the 4 personalities that everyone has, one being the most predominant. And so when you understand what type of personality you're dealing with, you can tell even from social media what type of predominant personality they have. Then you can talk to them like a peer. And then they wonder, wow, how does this person relate with me much better than anyone else that I've talked to, right? And so remember, it's all about the prospect, not you. So you have a dialogue with them that is like them. Okay? For example, real life scenario. Let's just say you're calling them and you end up listening to their voicemail greeting. Okay? If they have a short and fast tone, well, when you leave a message, you should emulate that short and fast tone, right? If they have kind of a long, drawn out, slow tone, right? Then you want to emulate that slow tone also. Now, please don't do it to where, it's fake, right? You need to be yourself. Don't make it obvious, right? Even when you talk to them. But what I'm saying is you want to emulate in general of how your prospect is. So, they're somehow magnetized to you, but they don't know how to put the finger on it. Right? All right. When you are presenting the deal, you want to make sure that you're giving them options. Options are very important, especially for the D or dominant personality. Okay? Options. So don't tell them that this is the only solution for you, right? That's putting them in a very tight and tough space to make a decision. Give them options, give them ranges, right? And when I say give them options, yes, too many options is going to make them confused. Okay? The best is no more than 2 or 3 options. Okay? I would, if you can do away with 2, that would be best. Because the more options you give, the more confused they're going to be, and the more the less likely they're going to close on a sale right then. Right? So 2, at the most 3 options, okay, is what you want to give. So maybe you can give them a basic, less expensive option at first, right? Being the first option. You can say, look, this is going to be at the bottom of your price range, right? And this is what you're going to get. You're not going to get the 5-bedroom. You can, if you can deal with 4, right? This one has a 2.5 garage, a living room, and yeah, it doesn't have an office, but you can make one of the bedrooms an office, and put a sofa bed in there, and that can be a bedroom, right? It's at the bottom of your price range, right? Then you can show them another home that might be towards the middle of the price range, and that gives them more of what they want, right? And if you have to offer a third one, You can show them one at the top of their price range. It has all the bells and whistles that it has, right? It has the marble floors, it has the vaulted ceilings and the crown moldings, and you know what? It has a game room also where you can put a pool table in there, right? Jack and Jill. So it has all of it. Home theater with 7.1 Dolby Atmos surround sound system, right? It has all of that, right? So, so you can show 2 to 3 options that way in the bottom of their price range, middle of their price range, and at the top of their price range. That is something that they can deal with. It's easy for them to choose, right? And likely for them to close on a deal with you, especially if they liked you and you are magnetizing to them, right? With the way that you have been communicating with them, right? So give them options, but I say that very carefully. Don't give them too many options, no more than 2 or 3. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, and never discount. Never discount. When I say never discount, what I'm saying is never discount without justification. This is my last point. Okay. Never discount without justification. One time, there was a AC repairman that went to my parents' house because they needed their AC fixed. And their repairman told them that, you know, everything's going to cost $3,500. My parents were like, you know, it's something wrong with their AC. It was not like their AC wasn't blowing at all, but it was, you know, a little uncomfortable. My parents said, okay, well, we need to, you know, we'll think about that and, you know, let you know. Immediately, he dropped it to $1,000. So now, see, I can tell by what you're thinking there. Without any type of justification, he dropped the price $2,500. Do you think my parents used him even if it was $1,000? That trust level went away, right? Most likely what he would have done was collect $1,000, show that he fixed something and break something else so he can get more money later, right? So never discount without justification, right? And so when you show the pricing, right? Make sure that you've built enough value to where that pricing is sensible. It makes sense, right? It's within the market, right? And there's a lot of value in it. Now, if they want a discount, then okay, no problem. Okay, but make sure that you are discounting it, number one, in small increments. Because if you start doing large increments, that means the original price that you show them that you were blowing a bunch of steam, right? So you want to discount it in small increments. So because a talented negotiator, and I meant a lot of talented negotiating, I'm from the I was born and brought up here, but we're Asians, right? Asians are known to be the world's best negotiators, and they don't care about anyone's feelings, right? When my dad used to negotiate for cars, oh man, it was the car might be $30,000, but he would say he wants 20, right? Talented negotiators lowball. Okay. And when the salesperson said, well, no, we can't do 20. All right, well, I guess we'll see y'all later, right? He'll just get up and start walking away. Right. And so what are talented negotiators doing? What they want to do is bring the salesperson down to their level. Right. And so the salesperson starts to drop it from 30 to 25 to 22. Right. Just starts dropping it. Right. Now who's winning? My dad is, right? Like we're winning, right? So what you want to show them that you are the expert at the end of the day, right? You know what you're talking about. and you built value, it is worth what you asked for in the beginning, right? And so you want to always make sure that you're bringing the client to your level where you are. And so now, so even if you had to discount and make an agreement, well, guess what? At least you didn't drop tens of thousands of dollars to where they are, right? They start to see the value. They built that trust in you already, and they're trusting your expertise. Remember, doctor-patient relationship, a patient has a lot of trust in the doctor, and so what they would do is start to come up to your levels. They start to realize that they're being unreasonable, not you. A talented negotiator wants to show it the other way, that you're being unreasonable and they are, right? And so what you want to do is make sure that you're bringing them up to your level. So even if you discount, it will be in a very minor level, and you justify each drop in price. Okay, so instead of 750,000, you might be saying, this is well worth 750,000. It's a lot of companies are moving here. It's really, you want to sell it in a way where it's a seller's market, right? What I can do is see if my prospects if the other party might be okay with 725, I can go with that, right? And see what happens, right? I'm not in the real estate market, so your language may be, better than mine, but what I'm saying is that mindset, right? Making sure that they're not coming to a point where you have to drop so low that you're in the unreasonable realm, where you're working tirelessly for months and even years sometimes, so you can make a few bucks, right? And so when you're discounting your product or service and it cuts to the margins of the sale, that will lead to smaller commissions, and it also makes your value plummet in the eyes of the customer, right? And so, yes, now you might get repeat business, but they know they're doing that because they know that you're the discount king or queen in real estate. You don't want to be known for that. Okay? So instead of discounting, you want to focus on key challenges your prospects are facing and demonstrate the value you're offering that you can provide for them. So never drop the price just to make the sale. Because if you do that, then they see you're desperate and they'll capitalize on it. Okay? You've already witnessed that they're desperate because of their pain points, right? And so you have the upper hand. Don't let them make you feel like that they have the upper hand. Okay? And so there's so much you can cover in sales, but those are the main points that I wanted to cover today. And so that way, when you are going out and making most of these opportunities, you want to make sure that you understand where you position yourself. Position yourself as the authority, as the expert. That in itself creates high value for you. Okay? I'm going to go a little bit deeper, and I talked about this before. All of this sales training and everything, it can be great, right? It has a lot of great information, and you can apply it to yourself and have some success. Maybe on even a short-term basis. The only way you're going to have sustained and long-term basis is to layer what I talked about here on what you're rooted on, meaning mentally and spiritually, right? And I talked about this before in our foundations. Spiritually, you must know your value in the identity that you have in Christ, right? Because what we tend to do is beat ourselves up a lot, right? By saying, I'm not good enough, right? The other person's better than me, right? And a lot of times we're basing this on what people told you or us, right? what your parents may have told you, what a bad teacher may have told you, right? What a Sunday school teacher said about you, right? A lot of times we are beating ourselves up, and what we're doing is unaligning with the identity that Christ gave us, right? What's the identity that he gave us? That we're the head and not the tail, right? You're always above and never beneath. You are more than a conqueror. In fact, you're seated in heavenly places with him, ruling with him, right? You are a king and a priest, right? So when you start to take on the identity and align with the identity that God has given you, then you make sure that you have a solid foundation. Otherwise, all this training and all that we get from here and other places, it's going to go down like quicksand if you're not rooted in the right identity that God has given you. Okay, that is the most important part. Once you have that foundation, I mean, think about building a house, right? And even biblically, we talk about it. If you build a house on soft soil, right, or on quicksand, you can have the strongest house with 2x4s. The 2x4 can be 3x6, right? It doesn't matter. You can have the strongest roof. You can have the strongest structure. Your house is going to collapse if you don't have a firm foundation. 100%. Okay, so make sure that you're aligning with the identity that God has given you. Then you layer it with great training, right? Of your skills. That's how you're not going to be, temporarily successful. You'll have sustained success that way, right? And that's what the ambassador's table is all about. Knowing your identity of who you are in Christ, and then learning from, and making sure that you are, honing the gifting that God has given you. That's what we're doing here at the end of the day. All right. All right. Very good. This time I didn't have a PowerPoint or anything, but it's each time it's going to be something different, but that helps us to just focus on the verbal aspect that's coming out, right? So you can write notes and so on and so forth. So that's what I did this time around. Is different, every time. There's been other times where I had PowerPoints and all that. I want to make sure that we are able to learn in all different ways, and so that's why you see me do it in different ways every time. All right. From what I talked about today, any feedback, any questions, comments, concerns that you think will be beneficial for you as you move forward? Yeah, go ahead, Giselle.
I have some feedback. What you were saying at the beginning is so on point, because when somebody pressures me for sales, I run the other way. It's a big turnoff always, especially leaderships. And I want to share, just the other day, I went to a swimming class for my son. I wasn't thinking of buying because I'm a type of person, I research, I look around, I go to different places before I make a decision. I don't just go to one spot and that's it. But their service was so beyond great. The owner came and greeted me. The place was nice and clean. The kids were having so much fun, even though my son was his first time swimming and he was just crying the whole time. He didn't want to be there. Yeah. But they were understanding. And he's like, oh, my son cried for 10 weeks. People were coming up to me, like people that have been there for a while, don't worry, this is normal. And this is their clients, their customers. They had so many people that were like, don't worry about it. They're employees. And they put like one of their best people there just to, help him, a 5-year experience. They had lifeguards. It was like beyond expectations. They had a area after, like they thought of everything. When the kids came out all wet, so the kids don't go wet in your car, there's an area that you could shower them with the shampoo. There's an area you could dry their bathing suits. There's an area in the back that you can put them in there to get dressed, like a private dressing room. And it was so like over the top beyond, and then they come and check on you and make sure you're good. That I was literally like, I could have left that place because there were, it's a lot of kids and stuff, and not even talk to a salesperson. I was looking for them to sign me up.
You're right. Right.
So it was something I
That's-
was expecting. Yeah.
So you were magnetized to them, right? Because of the culture of excellence. So when you have a culture of excellence, you're going to get people magnetized to that because they've dealt with so many very bad experiences and mediocre experiences. These people that you're talking about knows. So whoever's at the top there has a culture of excellence in their mind, and they have thought of every aspect of the customer experience and not just meet it, but exceed it. That's what we should be as kingdom business leaders, right? If we're calling ourselves kingdom, guess what? We are representing the excellency of Jesus Christ, the King, right? This is not just a faith or a religion, okay? We are part of an actual kingdom, okay? Think of an earthly kingdom, but this is not an earthly one. This is a heavenly one, right? And so anyone that is involved in an actual kingdom, they are always over and beyond. So I don't know if the owners there are, saved or not, but they definitely have a kingdom mindset, right? And so that's what we should be taking on, and always putting ourselves in the client's shoes as we are representing him, right? So that takes sowing, right? We know the concept of sowing and reaping, right? When you sow, you reap, and you usually reap multiples, right? God is in the his favorite math is multiplication. Okay, Genesis 1 verse 28. God told not Adam, he told man at the time, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it, or take dominion, right? That is actually a business formula, right? And the problem is that the world has taken that business formula and become very successful, and most Christians don't even realize it, right? You look at McDonald's and KFC and all these, big companies. That's what they've done. Exactly. They've taken that, right? They're fruitful. They made a product. They know, and they multiplied it. They made, a bunch of Big Macs, right? Then they replenished the earth. They put McDonald's everywhere on the earth, and now they have dominion, right? Anybody can say whatever they want about McDonald's, but they definitely have dominion in the restaurant space. You think about a restaurant, and a fast food restaurant, that's who you think about, right? And so that is a kingdom concept. And so this is what people that are Christians tend to lack. Only very handful of people actually have, Christians actually have that, right? Like Home Depot, Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out, these type of companies, they've actually taken that concept, they've become successful, and they're domineering in that, right? So if you want to have a dominion, if you want to subdue, Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, or it's 26, one of them, right? That's the formula that you want to follow. And so I feel like that they have a culture of excellence, and they definitely have at least the first two aspects, where they're actually doing that. They probably have multiple locations too. So I'm glad that you shared that, because you want to go to experiences, businesses like that, and see what aspects of that business can you put into yours. Okay. having a culture of excellence, that is representing the kingdom. All right. Very good. What other observations, concerns, questions? Anyone?
I think the information was pretty good. The fundamentals of what you shared, I think could be applied anywhere. The added layer that I'll have and using any of that is most of my clientele is not the general population. It's, you know, it's not the it's going to be business owners, developers, usually sophisticated developers that are involved in multiple projects, usually have multiple contractors. So getting in front of them is the hard part, to implement any of these techniques, you know, because I don't have walk-in customers, you know, nobody's on Google searching, you know, I'm looking to build a $5 million, you know, plasma center or daycare, you know, find a contractor near me, you know, Angie's List, that type of stuff. You know, that doesn't apply for the type of work we do. So in order to take these these tips and utilize them, you've got to dig and find the people that are willing to hear you first.
Right.
And once you get there, then you can apply those. And I think those principles would work at that level. Like Giselle's experience, you know, she walked into a business. It's a brick and mortar business. They have the option to create that environment and that culture, and then anyone that comes in there can choose to see that or be magnetized to it. Whereas us, you know, we've got to filter through the crowds, and you know, the homeowners, the everyday Joes, the people at Home Depots, Lowe's, people at the McDonald's, you know, those aren't our clients. So finding them to, you know, if we're at a barbecue, you know, chances are I'm not going to be standing in front of a construction developer that runs a national chain. You know, he doesn't run the dollar store chains around the country or the plasma centers around the country, or, you know, building nursing homes around the country. So that's the hard part there is, you know, when I'm looking to sell or make a sell, it's going to, you know, getting in front of the right people is a whole nother lesson that needs to be learned. And, you know, how do we get there? But once we get there, using those techniques, I think would be fruitful.
Right. And what you're talking, so we were talking about sales today, and what you're talking about is actually the marketing that comes before the sales, right? How to, you know, position yourself and be able to have the language that towards the market that you want to be in front of. Now, you want to make sure that, you know, when you are in the marketing phase, that you are showing that you are the authority in that field, right? Now, that doesn't mean you have to know everything, but to show that you have authority in that field is to make sure that you're known. Social media can definitely help you with that, right? LinkedIn, especially in the field that you're talking about. And when people start to see that you're an authority, right? That's when you start to really see opportunities start coming in front of you. We have not only social media, but even podcasting, right? I know Steve Ryder is going to be a speaker at our event. He used to, have you heard of Focus on the Family? Okay, so he was there from day one with James Dobson. He was the sound engineer for Focus on the Family. So he'll be speaking at our Entrepreneur Summit. All right. And Giselle, you're going to be there. Brandon, looking forward to being, I know you have to get back to me. And so, you know, showing yourself as the authority, I mean, people have to know that you exist. And so getting on interviews, podcast interviews, doing your own show on podcasting, you know, like, for example, you know, it's not what you think that you have to do interviews and all that. Like this episode right here, this can be a podcast itself, right? Because at the end of the day, it's, you know, people hearing your content, your expertise. And there's different ways to go about this. Not what it used to be, where it's just newspaper and magazines and TV ads. Now it's more on the digital space, YouTube, podcasting, and social media. You put those three together, you have a powerhouse, a marketing powerhouse. And you're just talking, you're just being yourself. It's not like you have to have, so many techniques down, right? As long as you're talking and you're showing your expertise, even in a 10-minute segment, think about a 10-minute segment, 10-minute podcast, right? And you're doing that on a weekly basis. Well, within 3-4 months, you have 10 to 12 podcasts and you're showing your expertise. Well, that's 2 hours worth of content right there. Right. And then when you start to see that you're doing, sharing your expertise more than others, you become an authority in that field. So using today's technology and platforms along with AI is going to definitely propel you into that sphere. And then when they come in front of you, yeah, definitely, use the principles that I just talked about today. So Steve Ryder is going to be there. I think he's going to be a very valuable contact in person that whoever's there can talk to directly. No problem. Yeah. Go ahead.
I wanted to add, like, getting the rooms, like how the summit, getting into the rooms, finding where your customer is, because I'm also in private equity, so I know what it is to deal with people that are hard to get a meeting with, very dominant, and don't have time, and then they want to the point. So I'm seeing that that's kind of like your client too, because that's another thing that when you were saying, I was like, yeah, I probably I have those people too that you talk to and they're like to the point. I'm more of like get to know you naturally, but when you have those dominant figures, they just want to get to the point. That's like a different approach, but also it's just finding where your clients are at, building that relationship, showing your face is so huge.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that's another way.
Yeah. So with those dominant types of clients, they're fast paced, right? They never have time. And so you, as the expert, you want to know how to slow them down, right? So to where they're starting to answer your questions. Remember, when you ask questions, you are taking control, right? So you ask questions and you slow them down, and all of a sudden, the 10 minutes that they only had, all of a sudden they're spending 2 hours with you, right? So that's what you want to do with that. When you recognize them, don't go at their speed, because if you go at their speed, they're in control, right? Okay, you need to take control, slow them down, and then enter a conversation with them. They'll respect you for that, right? And when you're successful in doing that, and when you gain the respect of a dominant personality, it means the world, right? Because now when they like you actually, and when they're telling others about you, they're not suggesting their friends to do business with you. They're demanding, they're telling them, you need to do business with Giselle, right? You need to do business with Brandon. But slowing them down is key. And that's keeping your composure, and having them magnetized to you, not the other way around. Okay. All right. Very good. We have 5 minutes left. If there's anything else you want me to answer or cover, I can do that. Otherwise, we can call it a day. It's up to you. Got 5 minutes.
Giselle, what do you do day to day for a living?
Me and my husband, we own a company, luxury car company. He's been doing it for 10. I've been helping him for like 6 to 7 years. But then I also do private equity, but it's like real estate based, and that's really like my passion. But yeah, so we have a location in Miami, and we're having another location here in Naples. We're opening up. It's like a brand new what we're doing. here in Naples. But we moved over here more because of the private equity, because the company actually has a headquarters here. And the market is great for the cars. So it just makes sense for both.
So you guys sell luxury cars?
We rent them.
You rent them? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty neat. That's unique. So who do you compete with then? Do you compete with like the budgets and stuff, or are you in a different market?
Different market. We actually have one competitor here, which I want to partner up with them because they're we do that in Miami. We partner up with other big companies. So if we are sold out, we get cars from them. If they're sold out, they get cars from us. So it's kind of like a partnership that we do. It's not really like competitive, but in Miami, the market went oversaturated. Everybody was doing it. So it was really tough over there. Here, it's more of like a brand new market, clean slate. It's more of what the clients that we want. We want executives. We want people that are going to dinners, taking their clients, type of thing. So that we're in the right market for that. So that's what we're building here.
What kind of vehicles you offer again?
S-Class is kind of like the low end, like Mercedes S-Class. And then we offer anywhere from Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Rolls-Royce. The Cullinans are very, very popular. We also have boats, yachts that we offer.
Right.
And we also have housing, but it's mostly in Miami based, but we are trying to build that here too. And we want to offer private jet too, because it's kind of like the same role. We want to be the place to come, and then you just, don't worry about anything if you're traveling. Here's a lot of private flying. They have an private airport, and that's basically like, if I want to fly out, I have to go to Fort Myers, which is like 30 minutes out, because here it's more like private, and they're always flying in and out. So here it's like, that's where the market is. So I'm trying to partner up with like private airports, like a Ritz-Carlton type of thing. Those are our clients.
So you can literally offer a private jet, so they're coming in, and then have a car ready for them at the airport. Take them to the luxury house that you offer. Let them stay there for the night, and the next day they're taking your car to the yacht.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's what I want to do. I want to build something like that, and then I can't really talk about it, but there's something in the making.
Sure.
With the short-term rentals on our side. So it's
You're
gonna be servicing the same people that are in the private equity. It's kind of like gonna marry itself.
Yeah.
Thing.
Well,
Yeah.
you're in the King's market, and it looks like that's what we're all in, right? So, yeah, praise God for that. Very good.
At positioning, it's the perfect positioning, and this has helped me with this a lot, like a ton.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
being in
Absolutely.
the right market is completely a game changer.
Yeah. This type of market that we're in, you remember, we're at the end of the day, we're looking to expand God's kingdom, right? And so the influencers, right, of the world, like the ones that we deal with, are the ones that can do the best job, right? Because when they've heard the gospel, and then they are actually with their personalities, they're the ones that can spread the gospel even best, right? What was it? Acts chapter 16, I believe, where Paul and Silas, Jesus told them not to go to Asia, not to go to this other country, right? But God led them to a Roman colony, right? To a lady by the name of Lydia, who happens to be a business owner that sold purple cloth. So think about a vendor like Armani or Versace that's on in an expensive area, right? She's dealing with other kings that are her clients, right? God, remember, they were supposed to speak to thousands of people in Asia, but no, he led them to one lady. Why is that? Because God knows what he's doing. Because he knows that lady is an influencer that can help spread the gospel. Guess what? She's from Thyatira. Okay. The next time you hear about that city or that area is in Revelation, because because Jesus talks about the church in Thyatira. It is highly possible that that Lydia was responsible for changing that whole city or wherever she's from, right? That's the type of business that we're in, right? That is kingdom mindset in our business, and the type of clientele that we're all serving. That is the that is the assignment really that we have as kingdom business leaders, right? And so just keep that in mind, because if they are magnetized to you and they love what you're all about, they respect you and they respect your belief system, man, I'm telling you, you can change the world through just one client, right? And that's what Ambassador's Table is all about. So glad to hear that. So it's about time. Thank you for your time here, and let me just close in prayer before we leave. Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this time that you've given us, and for the insight and wisdom and knowledge that you shared here from me to the group, as well as the group to each other. And I pray that help us to take this insight and knowledge that you have given us to ultimately expand your kingdom and to increase in business for our families and for our world to change. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen. All right, very good. The next Ambassador's Table meeting, let me just bring that up quickly. We usually have it every first Wednesday of the month is when we usually have it. But because of the summertime and all that, that has changed a little bit. All right, the next one is going to have to be September 25th. September 25th. Okay, so I'll put that in my calendar also. Okay.
Do you email that out, or should we just put it on our calendar?
Yeah, I do, and I'll follow up with you. On this, and yeah, so September 25th. I think that's going to work. Oh, actually, those that are in Dallas, we're going to get together as the Ambassador's Table that week as well. So, but you guys are not in Dallas, so that's fine. So, because I wanted to make sure that we meet in person as well. So if you happen to be in Dallas, we're planning to meet together that week. All right. So
you never know.
What's that?
You never know. I might be in Houston that week, but you never know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're depending on where you are in Houston. If you're in the north part of Houston, we're about 3 hours away. So,
okay.
Yeah. Very good. Well, it was great to talk to all of you. All right. Take care. God bless. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Matthew. Have a good one. Bye.
You too.